Hello, welcome back. Today we're actually at the final session of our Developing a Tier 1 System and Practice summer series. So we're going to focus on our last item, which is single request for assistance in school. I'm joined again by my dear colleagues, Catherine Leswing and Molly White, as the experts in MTSSB implementation. Just a reminder, here we are at session 8, single request for assistance in school. If you want to go back and watch any of our previous recordings, we encourage you to. And if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. But let's jump right in. From our preventative lens, you might be asking, why should we establish a single request for assistance? And there are a number of reasons why this is important. You can identify students demonstrating a pattern of behavior over time, ideally based on multiple data sources. It standardizes a process by setting benchmarks based on specific criteria. So for example, after 3 ODRs, a student is referred for Tier 2 support. The pathway to seeking and initiating social, emotional, and behavioral health support is clearly defined and easily accessible to all. It connects students to appropriate services based on data, and it does close the loop on referral. So that's from a preventative perspective, why a single request for assistance is really important. So I'm going to hand off now to my colleague, Catherine Leswing, to go into the meat of the matter.
Thank you so much, Lisa. So here you can see a graphic that really helps us to understand how the tiers are built up in a school. And when we think about a request for assistance, or the topic of last session's video, a universal screening process, these two components of your Tier 1 process are really setting some decision rules or guidelines for how your school will identify students who aren't responding to the universal Tier 1 supports. So just like Lisa mentioned, this is a really this particular topic, developing a single request for assistance, is stepping out a little bit of the prevention lens and looking at how do we help intervene when students may need a little more help. And so as we discussed last week, a universal screening is where we're looking at data or a process for all students and seeing if any student comes to the attention of the adults or the team that is screening students. And that's one way for flagging students who may need some more intensive supports. And what we'll talk about today is developing a single request for assistance, whereby a person in the student's life identifies that this student may need some help. So how does it work? And I'm going to walk you through here exactly the steps of a single request for assistance process. So the first step is that a student is exhibiting a concerning pattern of behavior, and that behavior comes to the attention of what we call referral source here, but really it can be an adult family member, it can be a teacher, it can even be the student themselves who is self-identifying, saying, I think I need some extra help here. And then a referral is made to an advanced tier team. So it might be a Tier 2 team that your school has set in place. Oftentimes we see these tier teams combined. And it's via a centralized form. So it's a form that team has made together and is using in a systematized way in the school. That team, once the referral comes in, will gather additional data and consult with the family and the student and the staff who made the referral. And at this point, the team will decide, based on a menu of interventions that the school offers, what intervention will best suit the student. Using those decision rules, they will connect the student and make sure to consult with the student and family. This is a really important piece of the puzzle here. It's not the referring source or the team saying this is the intervention that is best matched. There's a consultation process that happens there. And then last but not least, and this is really what sets apart this particular referral process, is that the loop is closed. So the team will refer, or the team will inform the referral source what happened, what was the outcome in general terms to the referral source, excuse me, what the outcome of the referral is, and they will let the referral source know what happened. And this serves a couple of purposes. One, it improves and encourages staff in the building or families to refer because they recognize that the system works. And two, it helps the referral source maintain knowledge of the student and help to continue to support or see if the intervention is working and keep tabs in that way. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Molly.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for walking us through the process of a single request for assistance. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about what you should include on the actual form. So there's a whole process, but part of that process is filling out this form as somebody who is submitting the referral. So of course you would want to include basic information, student's name, the date of the request, the relationship to the student, the referrals, the person submitting the referral, their name would want to be on there. Other basic identifiable information that'll help move the process forward. You would want to have reasons for the request, and often it's helpful to have these as a menu. So rather than having people individually write out the reason and coming up, having a set menu with an option for other if it doesn't fall within that is one way to really streamline this process. And then of course, like my colleague Catherine outlined, it's helpful for people to know where to submit the form to and the process for that they can expect with that. On these referral forms, while it's helpful to have, like I said, a lot of pre-filled out menu items that they could select, having space for some free response is also helpful so people feel like they're getting the whole picture conveyed to the team that's receiving the referral. Some free response items that you may want to include are having them document the observed behaviors, what was seen and heard that led to the referral. And I want to emphasize the word observed. This is not a space for the individual making the referral to make guesses about why the behaviors were happening. It's simply documenting fact, things that were actually seen or, like I said, heard from the student. What supports have they already tried, if any? What would it look like if the intervention or the supports were successful? That's helpful to know kind of and paint a picture of what would be best for the student. And then a space for additional comments is always helpful if there's anything we missed or other context that's helpful in this referral. And on the next slide, I'm showing just a sample request for assistance form. Like I said, it is so helpful to have those menus, just quickly check a box. As a teacher making a referral, the more streamlined the process, the better. But you can see the space on the bottom for those free responses where I can really type out my observed concerns and my thoughts to support the student. And with each of these, we like to leave you with some considerations for use. When we're thinking about the request for assistance form or inputting any process in a school, we would want to ensure that we're educating the whole school community about this and how to use it. So not just our teaching staff, but we're looking to educate all staff within the school, all families and the students as well. Like my colleague Catherine said, students can self-refer. So having them educated on this process is very important. And then the second bullet there is placing the referral form on a public-facing website, the school or the district website, can be really helpful in making it accessible to families that may not be entering the building and taking a hard copy with them. It might just be one easy way. And the form could even be filled out online. There's different apps and ways to make that happen, that they could just submit it all and they never have to print anything out or scan it in. And then lastly, on the form itself, it's helpful to include information about what to expect after submitting the referral. Like Catherine talked about, people who submit a referral and then never hear from it or about it again may be wary to submit again in the future, because they may feel like maybe the referral wasn't received or acted upon. But when they know that something was done and the student was supported, it makes them motivated to submit additional referrals for students that could benefit from additional supports. So those are just a few considerations. As always, we encourage you to reach out if you have any questions about this process, or if you'd like to see that sample referral form in PDF version, we're happy to send that along if you reach out to us. If you find that your school or district falls outside of the 2 regions that are currently filled, please still reach out to us. We're happy to support you. And like we talked about earlier, this was the last episode in our summer series, Implementing a Tier 1 System. So if you haven't, feel free to go back and watch all the other episodes in this series. And we encourage you to stay connected on all of our social media. Have a great day and be well.